Am I on? Oh, okay. Welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. Tonight we're doing two very special tributes to Mary Travers, and this is the first one. Ira and Maxine Stone, the Stone Band, are going to start off Leaving on a Jet Plane. Hit it.
All my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye, but the dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting, he's blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could die.
And smile for me, tell me that you'll wait for me, hold me like you'll never let me go, 'cause I'm leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again.
Oh babe, I hate to go. So many times I let you down, so many times I played around. I'll tell you now that they don't mean a thing. Every place I go, I'll think of you. Every song I sing, I'll sing to you. When I come back, I'll wear your wedding ring. And smile for me, tell me that you'll wait for me, hold me like you'll never let me go. I'm leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go. Now the time has come to leave you one more time. Let me kiss you, close your eyes, and I'll be on my way. Think about the days to come when I won't have to leave you alone. About the day when I won't have to say. So kiss me and smile for me, tell me that you'll wait for me, hold me like you'll never let me go, 'cause I'm leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go.
Beautiful. Ira and Max, of course, live in Reading, as we know from the last time that they were on the show, and as did Mary Travers. So you had a lot of interaction over recent years with Mary. And tell us a little bit about her, but even more beyond that, about her music and how it worked in conjunction with the revolution that we went through in the 60s and 70s.
Well, I think almost any guitar player back then, when I grew up on guitar, I started playing those tunes, whether it came from the Kingston Trio, Chad Mitchell, who I played with, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Dave Van Ronk, all the old early folk guys. We used to see them in Greenwich Village. They just all had that incredible new wave to it that you could get into the lyrics. The guitar almost was a background to what the people were saying. It was amazing music back then, and it was very prevalent, and you could just take a train into New York from Long Island and hear these people play. It was a great time.
Now, Max, you brought along a little note from Mary's family that you got. Could you tell us a little bit of something about that?
Well, in the past month or two, the work I do, my office was able to do some kind of almost miraculous things for Mary and Ethan. And Monday, I think it was the 14th, Mary passed on September 16th, and Monday at our office, this incredible bouquet of flowers came, pure white hydrangeas, white roses, and the most fragrant Casablanca lilies. And it was stunning, and the note was even more stunning because it said, "Your heart, soul, intelligence, and passion in your work is greatly appreciated. Ever grateful, Ethan and Mary." And this was sent to a couple of my associates and myself for what we were able to do, and I was really grateful that we had that opportunity. I was more recent to meeting Ethan and Mary. Ira knew Mary's mom from way back.
Back in the old Reading days.
In the old, because she's been a Reading icon for 30...
Quite a while. When we moved up here, Mary was already here. That was in 1975. And I met her mother through business a couple of years later.
And her mom, Virginia, was a powerful woman.
Amazing lady.
I think she was a journalist.
So a powerful woman, the son of the daughter of a powerful woman.
And
Yeah.
Mary had a powerful voice. Growing up, listening to what she could do with her voice and the harmony blends, and how meaningful the music was in terms of it being so revolutionary in giving a voice to what a lot of us were starting to feel about justice and equality, and it gave the perfect tone to what people were starting to understand, the change that was absolutely necessary.
And of course, all of us children of the 60s, we well remember the March on Washington in 1963 that Peter, Paul, and Mary performed at, where Dr. King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, and how all of that blended together in such a peaceful way that gave us the impetus to accomplish the great things that we as a generation accomplished. You had mentioned that there was a song that you had been working on in recent months that you might want to perform for us?
Well, when I last was at Mary's house, she was such a valiant woman.
She'd been sick for a very long time.
She'd been battling and had tremendous faith, and so I asked her if she wanted to hear a song that I was working on, and she said, sure. And she said, you know, what inspired you to write it? And I said, it's based on a Native American prayer. And it still was in the beginning stages. Actually, it's still a work in progress. But what was so inspiring was how she just lit up, because music was the life force. You know, music was everything to Mary, and she said to me, "I'm going to sing in another concert, you watch." And it was that great faith, I think, that kept her strong and kept her going. So the song that I sang to her is called "Candle in the Wind." Actually, it's not.
Right.
I didn't write that one, and I wish I had. This one's called "Candle in My Heart." Oh, that's funny. I just stole someone's song.
Well, that sounds.
okay, I'll
I was going to say that song sounds a little.
It's a little familiar too.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We'll take that from the top. This one's called "Candle in My Heart."
Okay.
And it goes something like this. Oh, great chief, light a candle in my heart, so that I may see what is therein. Sweep away anything that should not be in thy dwelling. O great chief, light a candle in my heart. O great soul, light a candle in my heart. Let it shine forever, let it shine. And each day live the way of love that is forgiving. O great chief, light a candle in my heart. Wash away the darkness which the light has never known. Melt away resistance which has never been my own. I humbly await your direction. O great chief, light a candle in my heart. Sweep away the sadness which the light has never known. Melt away resistance which has never been my own. I humbly await your direction. O great chief, light a candle in my heart. O great chief, light a candle in my heart. So that shine forever, let it shine. And each day live the way of love that is forgiving. O great chief, I thank you for the candle that's in my heart. O great chief, I thank you for the candle that is my heart. Thank you.
As you can sense, we have a studio audience also, so we're having a great time here with that. But that is a very nice gospel feel to it, and I know she would have approved because she had a lot of that spiritual nature in her. Now, looking backwards to the 60s, of course, they were involved in a lot of social issues and a lot of socially progressive things that we saw then. But did you ever sense at any point that there was a little bit of a lull in her life during, well, we'll call them the Bush years and the Reagan years? And did she, again, feel that comeback later on as things started to come full circle at all?
You know what, every so often you'd hear about them doing a concert and singing, and they had albums released during that period. So I don't think so. I think, you know, every artist goes through periods where the music is really prevalent, and the time that you're talking about is when radio had such a tremendous change. You know, it wasn't like you had a couple of radio stations like when we all came up, where they'd play Puff the Magic Dragon along with the Rolling Stones tune. You know, now they have stations for adult contemporary and the rock the kids listen to, and classic rock, which the kids also listen to. And
so not so much the mixing of the styles.
Yeah, but she always was doing music.
I think there was a time when Peter, Paul, and Mary stopped playing together, and then Mary did a lot of solo work, and then they sort of reinvented themselves and continued on together as a trio.
So she and the rest of, and the two boys, we'll call them, they stayed strong even in times when the country wasn't so strong, and we didn't have that. We didn't, as a culture, we didn't have the stage, but she stayed true to the.
Well, Peter wrote that amazing tune. I think it's called The Wedding Tune.
The Wedding Song.
I mean, an incredible song. I don't know whether that was pre-Bush or pre-Bush senior or whatever,
probably
but
early 80s.
An amazing tune. A lot of people covered that too.
And Mary always stayed true to her vision of fighting for the causes she believed in, and just had no room in her soul for social injustice.
Now, they covered a lot of other people's tunes, and usually, at least to my thinking, usually when bands cover other people's songs, you keep wanting to reach back to the original and get a sense of the original, and the covers just maybe aren't as good as the original. In their case, I'd say almost exactly the opposite, where when they did songs, they did other people's songs, they did them better than the original artists.
That's a really good observation, Dave. That's true.
Yeah, they also were more user-friendly. I mean, you know, Bob Dylan singing Don't Think Twice is an incredible, incredible tune. But when Peter, Paul, and Mary did it, you actually heard it on the radio. So.
Well, the fact that Albert Grossman managed both Bob Dylan and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and that it was Peter, Paul, and Mary that lifted Bob Dylan into the light. And without that, that might not have occurred.
So there was a lot of cross-pollination amongst the artists that knew each other through the producers and knew each other through, you know, you mentioned about Greenwich Village, what an incredible place that was then for the music of that time, and how so many wonderful artists, Dylan and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and you had mentioned some of the other artists which escaped me. But
well, yeah. For example, when I started playing guitar, it was the Kingston Trio, and then you heard about a little bit. Well, you heard Peter, Paul, and Mary. You heard the Chad Mitchell Trio, and only later on did I find out that the gentleman that wrote Jet Plane was John Denver, who was in Chad Mitchell's group. And then I think it was around 1970, Jim McGuinn, he had left a couple of years earlier to form the Byrds, and Chad needed a guitar player, and I played with Chad in the Midwest for a while, replacing Jim, Roger, McGuinn, whatever he goes by now. And so the transition came from like maybe those early folk days into almost folk rock, and certainly if you look at the Byrds, even towards rock, and they covered Dylan tunes too. So there was a lot of homogeneity and play going between the different artists at that time and the different writers.
And then the Byrds evolved, of course, into Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Absolutely.
So you had this transition. One band member, as you say, one band member would leave and go off on a solo career. Someone else would come in, and the band would evolve a little bit to match the new personalities that were involved.
Yeah, the scary part is that evolution went up to, you know, to about Woodstock, and you know, here we are 40 years later talking about the same thing, and the same music.
The golden thread. But Mary was the genuine item. I think she left school in the 11th grade, and you know, she was the Greenwich Village scene. So everything that was seething and foaming and formulating in that, she was right there. Definitely the genuine item.
I get a sense that she was really, in fact, as they say, the straw that stirred the drink of Peter, Paul, and Mary. Even though, not only that the fact that she was the painting between the two frameworks of the two guys, but that she was actually the one that really drove the band, so to speak. Did you sense that?
I always liked their music, so I never really cared who drove them.
Pardon my overanalytical nature.
No, she was a natural force in nature, and had no room in her heart for anything that wasn't going to ring true, and I think always stood up for that and was a catalyst, it seemed, between the guys. Kept everybody true to the vision.
Did you have another song that you'd wanted to do?
Sure.
That was one of the first ones that I can remember hearing a lot of by them. I don't know what the timing is.
Sing along. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Now I got a hammer, and I got a bell, and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
Oh, that was rousing. Oh my goodness,
Ira
that was
loves his
great.
dobro, you know, that is his
Yep.
favorite.
Yep.
His favorite toy.
Share some other thoughts about Mary with the audience.
Great lady, sharp as can be. Took after her mother, also sharp as can be.
You mentioned
And
that.
yeah, just
Yeah.
you know, really pleasant to be around. And
Her,
you know, she's an icon. It's Mary Travers.
her husband, Ethan, is one of the most loving, gentle, dedicated human beings. And that was a true love story because through everything, through the final years, he was there 24/7 and adored her. And to see the two of them together, even when things got really tough near the end, that was really a demonstration of pure love.
I remember one night my son came home from dinner at a friend's house in Reading, and they were there, and he was there for the dinner and played violin for them.
Yeah.
That was a highlight for him.
Wow, what
Yeah.
a great opportunity. It must have, that's the kind of thing that leaves wonderful impressions on kids, and that's education that you can't get anywhere else but in real life. Now, I can't avoid throwing in a quick plug because Ira and I have many years of real estate experience together. But Ira and Ira's company, it's Ira's company, and of course before that George Shaker's company, helped Mary with a lot of her real estate needs. They have an apartment on the property, and Ira. That's partly how Ira and Max and Mary came to know one another. What else do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about, Dave? How's that?
I want to talk about 1963 and that famous event known as the
March on
Washington, and that for me personally was my initiation. I wasn't there, but I think it's one of those things like Woodstock. Remember, we've had you on for Woodstock, but for me, the March on Washington was another one of those catalyst events which left an incredible lasting impression. I mean, a very positive one. We had some tough events in 1968 and some tough events later on in 1970 when we lost a lot of good musicians. But we also have those good times to remember. And when we talked about Woodstock, when you were here earlier, a couple months ago, right before the 40th anniversary of Woodstock, we talked a lot about how that was a catalyzing event, how that really defined an era, so to speak. Well, for me, 1963 and the March on Washington, even though I wasn't there either, was a defining moment.
Looking back all those years, when we played at Woodstock, it was a gig, and we didn't realize it was going to be what it's turned out to be. In 1963, we were very much involved with folk music, and folk rock music was just coming in. The Beatles were just starting, so I relate to it more from a musical time than a political time. Don't forget, '63 we lost Kennedy too.
Yeah.
And you know, as a kid in high school back then,
But that was much
fairly
later,
traumatic
63,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. I guess even though we've had rough times along the way, as a generation. You want to hear him play another song? They say, What?
Keep going, he says, keep going.
Play out. Just play out.
Play some
By
music on
popular
out, some
demand,
dobro out.
we're gonna do a little arm twisting, and they're gonna play us.
Ira will play a little
Okay, good.
dobro
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
A little protest music from 1963.
Excellent.
Keep on going, baby.
Gotta love that dobro.
Yeah. Just wait.
Have you into the show?
Keep going. I have to ask you about the dobro.
This was a gift from Maxine and Eric.